Welcome back to this already the final segment of today's Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. Always enjoy my good friend, Brendan Neef, whenever he can make it on the program. He's an awesome regular contributor on the program. He brings great insight to the world of business as a CEO of a very successful transportation company, Victory Transportation Systems. Brendan, as always, glad to have you on the program. Kind of start off with your elevator speech before I get into our topic today.
Good morning. Thanks for having me, and Happy New Year. Well, like I've said before, and we've discussed before, we're a hotshot company here in Houston, Texas. We provide freight services to the transportation industry in regarding petrochemical plants, electrical distributors, anything that needs to be picked up and delivered across town that day or somewhere in the continental United States. We pick it up and get it there as fast as we can, and customers that call us need it expedited and need it there right away.
Yep, no question about it. You guys do a great service. Last time we had you on the program, we were able to talk about ending your year with a bang, and I know that today, normally you're in our studio, so we miss you, by the way, but you're involved right now, beginning early in the year, planning. Tell me about planning, how planning looks at Victory Transportation Systems.
From a planning process, what we do is we break things down. We determine what we want to do for the year, and then once we determine that yearly outcome, or we pick 3 to 5 things that we want to accomplish for 2016, and then we back those up and we figure out what we need to do the first quarter to get ourselves on track to make that happen for 2016. So we had determined our 2016 outcomes towards the end of the year. We did an all-day planning session with our coach, and then we started the process of what we have to do to accomplish that for Q1. So today we had a leadership meeting to finalize the Q1 initiatives and moving forward on those, and who's going to be responsible for what from each leadership team member's perspective, and what they're going to get their team to do and transpire over the next quarter, first quarter.
Mm-hmm. Do you do that quarterly? Do you have meetings like this every quarter?
Well, we have a leadership meeting weekly that our leadership team gets together. We talk about what we did today as far as last week's projections, but each week, once we get started next week, we'll talk about this week's revenue. We'll talk about what we accomplished from a sales perspective, what our sales team did for the week to help us get our 2016 outcomes, and then we'll talk about our scoreboard from the operation team, what they did, what they didn't do, where we need to focus on to keep us on track for the 2016 outcomes. So from a planning perspective, we meet weekly as a leadership team, and then we meet as a company every quarter to talk about the previous quarter and what we're going to do for the second quarter.
Tell me how beginning of the year planning is different from what you do throughout the rest of the year.
Well, what we did when you talk about the beginning of the year planning, we got together the middle of December of last year. We looked at where we are as a company. We looked at, what 2015 is going to look like when it closes. And then we start thinking about what we want to do for 2016. And so from a planning perspective, we talk about the 3 or 5 things that are going to really move the business forward. So obviously revenue will always be one of those. And then we look at the other factors of how we are going to accomplish the revenue goal. What do we need to put in place that'll position us to not only be successful in 2016, but starting to look a little bit ahead for 2017? And then can we start implementing some things along with the other initiatives that will help us for 2017 as well? So we kind of look a year and a half out front, and then we back down again to what we can do each quarter to start making those things become reality.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And talk a little bit about, how detailed you go. You indicated that you go pretty deep. Kind of elaborate on that.
Let's see. When you talk about how deep we go, well, we break it down into the different aspects of the business that we have rated. So we have a finance team member, we have a safety team member, we have an operations team member, we have our HR, head of HR in that meeting, and then we have our COO, and then we have our vice president of sales, and then we have our, we have our operations manager in there. And so we look at different aspects in each of those departments of how we can improve, or how can we, so for instance, one of the things we're improving this year is in our AR. So how can we improve the AR process to where we get paid faster? And then we look at what getting paid faster can do to help improve the business.
Yeah, and for those who are not familiar, you just mean accounts receivable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it just depends on looking at those different aspects of how they each play a vital role in, if you can improve your cash flow, you can have some resources to do a small acquisition, or if you need to buy some equipment, how does AR and cash flow play into that? How can the finance department help us achieve our goals, by keeping us on task with our budgets and making sure we're not overspending for that particular month. So they all play a different role in how we can accomplish our 2016 outcomes.
Very good. Well, I'm excited to hear how your year goes. You guys have grown a lot. It's been exciting to watch, and I look forward to monitoring your success in 2016. I still have a hard time saying 2016. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I've been writing 2015 on all the checks and everything, so I'm still not in 2016 mode yet either.
Yeah, I actually think I'm somewhere in the late 1990s. But anyway, Brendan Neef, he's a regular contributor on The Price of Business. Give us that website before we let you go.
www.victorytrucks.com.
Well, you can tell why we get him on the show. He brings a lot of insight. And this, by the way, will be a standalone article as well over at usdailyreview.com, because the planning stuff here is really important. Thanks so much, Brendan.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
All right. Do you want to remind you we got a television show called Price of Business TV Show. You can learn more about that at priceofbusiness.com. And don't forget our good friends over there at usdailyreview.com. Have a great day. Spend it wisely on this station.